What is wisdom? Wisdom is knowing what to do, how to do it, when to do it, and why you are doing it. Wisdom is something that you draw from your experience, and you use your wisdom to guide others without directly commanding them.
This is Eric Anderton, and you're listening to Construction Genius, a leadership masterclass. Thomas Edison said that genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. If you're a construction leader, you know all about the perspiration, and this show is all about the 1% inspiration that you can add to your hard work to help you to improve your leadership.
If you keep leading the way you always have, will your company still be winning 5 years from now? Today, we're diving into the biggest leadership shift you must make in order to stay competitive. And that's moving from being a dictator to being a coach. You've built a business through command and control leadership, and it worked. But what got you here will not get you to where you want to go. In today's podcast episode, I'm going to give you a practical roadmap on how to shift your thinking, how to coach instead of command, and how to build a company that's a magnet for top talent. Stick around. Let's dive right in. After World War II, America was built by men and women who understood one leadership style: command and control. World War II ended in 1945. I'm recording this podcast in 2025, 80 years later. For today's workforce, that command and control leadership style doesn't work. They've grown up in a digital, decentralized, and independent manner. They don't expect to be bossed around. They expect to be coached, developed, and engaged. And if your leadership style doesn't shift, you're going to lose your best people faster than you can replace them. Now, I hear your objections just as we're getting into this topic. Eric, I must tell my guys what to do on the job site, particularly when there is a safety issue involved. And I agree with you 100%. Today's podcast is not telling you that you can never directly tell people what to do and what not to do. Today's podcast is more designed to help you shift your overall thinking into one where you understand that in order to thrive, you must get much better at being a coach of your people. So we're not specifically talking about how to deal with a situation. It's more of your mindset shift and moving into a place where you can be thinking about the ongoing development of your company and the development of your people. I know a guy, he started his construction company with himself and one truck, and he has grown it to a company that is generating $1 billion plus of revenue every year. I'm sure you know someone like that in construction. They built their business through blood, sweat, and tears. They bid the work, they planned the work, they built the work, and they chased the money. Over the years, they brought people on to help them to do that as they've grown and expanded. But basically, the whole business has been built on a command and control framework. And that's why it's difficult in many cases to move away from command and control, because it works. Unfortunately, it doesn't enable you to build a business that thrives without you. It causes a tremendous amount of stress for you because the weight of the business is on your shoulders. And again, because of the cultural shift that we've gone through, it's not something that most people are familiar with or comfortable with. And if your business is going to continue to thrive in the next 5, 10, 15 years, you must make that shift from being a dictator to being a coach. In order to make this shift, you must change the way that you think. And that involves dropping the mask and getting a new mindset. Here are 5 lies that successful leaders tell themselves. Number 1, I can't trust my people to get the job done. Number 2, I must be the smartest person in the room. Number 3, this business is my baby. Number 4, I can't show any weaknesses. Number 5, I have to be the hero. Do you recognize any of those? If you do, then you're tremendously human. But what you must understand is that these ways of thinking are hindering you from building your business. Dropping the mask isn't enough. Telling the truth isn't enough. Making a change is absolutely essential. But a change in behavior starts with a change in thinking. You must be changed in the way that you think in order to change the way you act. So you've got to set aside those lies and replace it with a truth that you may be uncomfortable with. If I coach and support people, they will usually succeed. Success is better than being right. This business is an asset, not my identity. My humanity builds trust. My job is to build heroes, not be the hero. If you're willing to shift your thinking, then your company will change along with that shift. If it's all about you, then it will be difficult for your business to thrive. If you go from being self-centered to being centered on the success of others and the development of others, you're much more likely to build a healthy, thriving business. Let's get practical. I've spent thousands of hours coaching executives in construction companies. And what I'm going to give you now is some frameworks and some thinking around coaching that can tremendously help you in your interaction with the people that you lead. Think about the last time you promoted someone into a leadership role and it failed. Why did it fail? I can tell you one reason. People know how to build projects, but they don't know how to build and lead teams of people. Construction comes with its challenges that only insiders truly understand. Generic leadership training doesn't cut it. You need a program to train your leaders built specifically for construction professionals led by an industry expert. And my online course, The Shift, is exactly that course. It has 5 modules. It'll teach your people how to control their calendars and reduce stress and embrace chaos and accomplish their critical tasks. It will teach them the 3 essential messages they have to communicate every day in order to motivate and lead their team effectively. It'll show them how to build and lead a high-performing team, give them a framework for running effective meetings so they'll be able to solve problems in less than an hour, and also give them a higher perspective on their leadership that will enable them to work on the business and on their teams and not get stuck in the weeds micromanaging. So go out to my website, theshift.constructiongenius.com, read all about the course, and then enroll yourself and your leaders in the course, and I guarantee that it will transform your leadership. If it does not, you take the whole course and you didn't get benefit from it, you just send me an email, eric@constructiongenius.com, and I will cheerfully refund you 100% of your money. I'm really confident this course will transform your leadership. So again, go out to the website, theshift.constructiongenius.com, learn more about the course, and start taking it today. You must initiate coaching conversations in the right way. They must be at the right time and in the right place. The right time is the time when both you and the person being coached are able to focus. Monday morning at 8 o'clock is unlikely to be the best time to have a coaching conversation. My recommendation is that you hold off your coaching conversations for Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday, and to have those conversations between 10 o'clock and noon. 10 o'clock, the person you're coaching should have already put out the fires that are on their particular jobs, gotten their guys up and running, and they'll be able to focus for 30 to 60 minutes. 10 o'clock to noon, people's energy levels are still high. They haven't hit that afternoon lull. They're able to focus on the conversation. They're able to bring energy to it, and you're able to bring energy to it as well. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, between 10 and noon, those are good times to schedule coaching conversations. The location of the conversation, I would encourage you to be in person. If you can't be in person, do it over Zoom. And if you can't do it over Zoom, do it over phone. But really, you shouldn't do any coaching conversations over phone. You must be able to see the person at the very least. And if you're physically in their presence, that is the best way to do it. Now, as far as you're concerned, it's critical that you're focused during these coaching conversations. So multiple screens can be a distraction. Your phone is obviously a distraction. So if you can remove yourself from those distractions, it'll help you to focus. In addition, when you're having these coaching conversations, being in a location that the other person is comfortable with can be helpful. So in other words, do the coaching on their territory, not yours, or do it in a neutral environment. You might do it in a conference room, and not a conference room with glass walls where people can see you as you're having the conversation, but a private conference room. You may choose to have the coaching conversation out of doors, maybe going for a walk, or maybe in the garden area of your office. Whatever the case is, you need to be in a place where both of you are comfortable, both of you are focused, engaged, and full of energy, because coaching conversations require all of those things. Now, to kick off a coaching conversation, ask 2 questions. The first question, what is your biggest win? And as you're listening to that person, you'll understand things that they're learning, areas that they're succeeding in, relationships that are working, projects that are on the upswing. If someone is struggling to find their biggest win, that's obviously something that you can take a note of. But typically, most people will have at least 1 or 2 wins that they'll share with you. You're also listening for the things that they've done about the commitments that they've made in previous coaching conversations that have led to a positive result for them and for the people who they work with. And after you have explored their biggest win, you then ask them, what is your biggest challenge? Okay. This is a great question because, again, what you're listening for is patterns of behavior, of failure, of success. Because behind those patterns, you'll find the way that people think. From the way that we think, we create habitual patterns of action, and those lead to the concrete results that we generate. So as a coach, you're always going in there with soft ears, with a soft mind. And what I mean by that is you're simply taking in as much information as you can from what the other person is saying, from their body language, watching their eyes as they're answering your questions. If you ask a question and they seem uncomfortable in their body language, if their eyes start to shift, that's obviously data that you're taking into account. But the purpose of a coaching conversation is to get the other person to open up so that you can then begin to explore how a person can improve, how they can double down on what's working, how they can start doing some particular actions, stop doing others, do less of one thing, do more of another. Keep this in mind as you're in a coaching conversation. You're not there primarily to correct, you're there to be helpful. So as you're going through this, think about types of questions that you can ask. Most of the time, you want to ask open-ended questions. The who, the what, the where, the why. Those open-ended questions that require more than a yes or no answer. Now, you always start your coaching conversations broad, and towards the end of the coaching conversation, you do get more narrow and more directive. So for instance, at the end of a coaching conversation, you might say to someone, do you commit to doing this task by this date? There, as you're getting commitments from people and locking in accountability, you're asking more yes or no questions. But the vast majority of the time, as you're in a coaching conversation, you're asking open-ended questions. Now, think about these open-ended questions. To unlock performance, you must master these 3 types of open-ended questions. The first one is the natural question. The natural question is the question that pops into your head while you're having a conversation. And so if someone talks about a particular challenge that they have, but they don't mention a particular person that is associated with that challenge, I'll ask about that person. If a project manager is saying, I have a challenge on a particular project, and you know that that project manager is interacting with a superintendent or a foreman that's difficult to work with, you should ask them specifically about that superintendent or foreman. In other words, that's a natural question that would come into your mind. And then a subset of the natural question is the uncomfortable question. And sometimes we don't ask a question because we're afraid, or sometimes we don't ask a question because we don't want to make the other person uncomfortable. But that is exactly why you should ask those questions. A question is a door. It's a door into new ways of behaving. Obviously, people have to be willing to walk through the door, but nevertheless, through a question, you are providing that door for people, that entrance into new ways of experiencing and behaving. All right, quick break to talk about my book, Construction Genius. This is what I want you to do. Go to Amazon, search for the book, read all of the 5-star reviews, because there's a ton of them. Over 50 to be precise. And the reason I want you to read them is because real people wrote those reviews who've actually read the book. And it'll give you an idea of why you should go and buy a copy right now on Amazon. And here's the deal. If you purchase 10 or more copies for your company, and then send me an email, eric@constructiongenius.com, I'll come in via Zoom and do a 1-hour Q&A and a bonus training session with your team at no charge. I normally charge $4,500 for an hour of my time. And again, for you, I'll do it at no charge if you buy 10 or more copies of my book. And the reason you should buy it is all in the title. It's effective, hands-on, practical, simple, no BS, leadership, strategy, sales, and marketing advice for construction companies. So if you're in the construction industry, this book is for you. So you can get it on Amazon. You can also get it on Audible in the audio version as well, narrated by yours truly. And I know you'll really enjoy it. So go out and get the book. And now back to the interview. And then the last type of question is the wise question. And what is wisdom? Wisdom is knowing what to do, how to do it, when to do it, and why you are doing it. Wisdom is something that you draw from your experience, and you use your wisdom to guide others without directly commanding them. Now, of course, you can command them if you wish, and at times, like we said earlier, commanding is tremendously appropriate. But again, most people don't like to be told what to do, and your very highest performers thrive in an area where they are led to conclusions through the use of skillful questions. And that is your job as someone who has shifted from being a dictator to being a coach. Questions that you can ask as you're going along the way are, for instance, are you happy here? What's the real obstacle you're facing? If you could do it over again, knowing what you know now, what would you do differently? So in these coaching conversations, you must lead with questions, not commands. One of the things I encourage you to do in these coaching conversations, and I do this all the time when I'm in my coaching conversations with my clients, is feel free to interrupt yourself. Specifically when you are finding yourself or hearing yourself asking a close-ended question, a yes-no question that isn't going anywhere. Just stop yourself and rephrase the question into that open-ended question. I find in my coaching conversations that the broader you can keep your conversation, the more interesting and the more fruitful that conversation is. One thing to keep in mind, your perception of the situation may not be accurate. So have a humble approach to the way that you're asking the questions. I like to cushion my questions sometimes with that acknowledgement that I may not be seeing things completely accurate. And that's another thing that you want to keep in mind in these coaching conversations is that you are still the coach, though you're trying to perhaps meet them on an equal footing. There's going to be a power dynamic there. And you want to encourage them as the coach that this coaching conversation is designed to help them to be as open as possible without negative judgment so that you can work through the issues and come to places where they're able to make commitments in terms of their behavior and their leadership that help them to make progress. One tool that I've used with my clients over the years that is tremendously useful is a 90-day high performance dashboard. And to make these coaching conversations as fruitful as possible, begin a coaching engagement by going through this 90-day dashboard. And a 90-day dashboard is tremendously useful because it puts the emphasis on performance. We're looking at this next 3 months, and we are expecting that progress is going to be made. And so the 90-day dashboard has 6 areas to focus on. The first one is the rally cry. And I'm going to put in the show notes a link to where you can download this 90-day dashboard and then use it with your folks. It's a tool that you can use right away to be much more effective in your coaching and helping your people in their performance. The first area is the rally cry. The rally cry is what's that one thing that needs to be accomplished in the next 90 days. Make sure they have a clear rally cry that they're able to articulate and to understand and to commit to. Then after you've worked on the rally cry, you go to the initiatives. The initiatives are the most important things they're going to be doing in order to drive the achieving of the rally cry. It's where they should be focusing the bulk of their time for their area of responsibility. And typically what you're looking for is anywhere from 3 to 5 initiatives. And you could even narrow it down and make sure they have a 30-day initiative, a 60-day initiative, and a 90-day initiative, directly linked to the achieving of the rally cry. After you've identified the initiatives, you then want to link performance metrics to each of those initiatives that drive the rally cry. And a performance metric can be date-driven. It can be from X to Y by when. It can be a number or a dollar amount. Whatever the case is, you want to link metrics to the initiatives that drive the rally cry. Then you go on to relationships. Relationships are essential in construction. And so you want to think about what are the specific relationships that I need to develop in this next 90 days that are going to help me to achieve the initiatives to drive the rally cry. So for instance, going back to your project manager who may be struggling with a superintendent, Perhaps one of their action items or commitments in that 90 days is to take the superintendent out to lunch and to spend some time breaking bread together, having some time to build that trust that's essential to a healthy relationship. And then after the relationships, the last part of the 90-day dashboard is the development opportunities. So what are the experiences, assignments, skills, educational opportunities that are going to help to advance this person's ability to achieve the rally cry? If they have technical gaps or leadership gaps that they need to fill, make sure that that person is getting the development opportunities necessary in order for them to be able to drive the initiatives that are going to achieve the rally cry. Now, I've taken some time just to break this down. Again, the 90-day high performance dashboard is available to you just by clicking the link in the show notes. And by getting that particular dashboard, you can then go through it with the person that you're coaching, fill it out, and then in every conversation that you have, refer back to the 90-day dashboard and ask them, how is it going? Now, remember, these aren't tablets of stone. It's easy to delete something that's not working and add something that is. But the point is that you have a document that you're sharing together that's evolving over the length of your coaching relationship that both you and the person that you're coaching can use in order to stay focused, to stay on task, and it helps to foster accountability. All right, so let's land this plane. You've got to drop the mask. The way that you're working with the command and control isn't going to work moving forward. You must have a new way of thinking. You must shift from having everything on your shoulders to a mindset of, I'm going to develop people in my organization and multiply my efforts through the efforts of other people. And then you have to get into great coaching conversations that can have a tremendous positive impact on someone as you're asking those natural, those challenging, open-ended questions, those wise questions that help you to gain insight in how the person is thinking and how they're feeling and how they're behaving, so that you can bring them at the end of those coaching conversations to clear commitments on what they're going to do. And that's where that 90-day dashboard comes in. You can use the 90-day dashboard to craft a plan for each one of the people who report to you in terms of what they're going to do to achieve high performance. And then you can use that 90-day dashboard as that check-in point, as that document that's a living, breathing document that keeps both of you on track in terms of the coaching conversations and the commitments that you make as a result of those coaching conversations. If you want help building a coaching culture within your company, reach out to me at constructiongenius.com. I'm here to help in any way that I can. Like I've said, I have many, many years of experience coaching high-performing executives in many different types of construction companies, and I can be a tremendous resource to you and your construction company also. So thank you for listening to Construction Genius today. Feel free to share this episode with anyone who you think might find it useful. And also, give us a rating and review wherever you get your podcasts. Appreciate you listening here today.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Construction Genius. Hope you found that 1% of inspiration to help you in the next few days. If you like the show, please give us a 5-star review on iTunes, share it with other construction leaders who you think would benefit, and always remember that the show is brought to you by Kick-Ass Meetings. I've been working with construction leaders since 2004, teaching them how to run extremely effective problem-solving meetings that gets their people collaborating, taps into their creativity, and to get yourself a free copy of the Kick-Ass Meeting Report, go to www.ericanderton.com/kickassmeetings. Grab yourself that free report, read it, use it in your business. You'll find it extremely useful. And thanks again for listening.